Welcome, everyone. This is the Masterclass. My name is Patricknazareth. I have around 30 years of teaching experience, and I'm here to help you clear your doubts if you have any. Today's lesson: how to study and understand the basics of a poem. So, this might seem a little silly, but the most important thing in a poem is first to read it. And then what do? You reread it, and then you continue to reread it. Why is that? Why should anybody do that? Because you see, when you read a poem for the first time, what you get is actually the superficial meaning. A tree is just a tree, a brook is just a brook, a mountain is just a mountain, a hill is just a hill. That's the superficial meaning, that's the literal meaning of the words. But what you have to understand is that whenever a poem is written, the words that can be used are very limited. Now, when you use a limited amount of words, it's not like writing a novel where you can explain the whole setting, you can explain all the characters very, very clearly. No, here the words are limited. Therefore, what the poet is trying to do is write his words in such a manner that he leaves a lot to your interpretation of it. What do you feel you're getting out of it? That is why the same poem can be read by two different people and get entirely different or differing meanings. And in order to do this, because the poet knows that he is playing around with words, he uses or she uses what is called poetic license. In other words, poetic license means the poet can misspell his or her word. He can actually make spelling mistakes in a poem and get away with it, knowing that the reader, that is you, will understand what he or she is trying to prove. There may be sentences that are half constructed. There may be similes or anything. Half is written, half you have to understand. The poet takes it to be an understood thing that the person who is reading my poem is an informed person, a person who is going to look at my poem and try and understand what I am doing. Which is why we insist that you read and reread again and again. In order to get past the superficial meaning, go right till the depth of the poem. A poem can be compared to an iceberg. If you have not seen an iceberg, fair enough. You've seen an ice cube. Most of the ice cube or the iceberg is under the water. There is only a little bit that is out. So when you read a poem, you're looking at understanding the entire ice cube, the entire poem, not just the part that is outside. Firstly, very simple thing. You are here to study a poem. You don't really want to go into the depth, but you have to understand the basic things that are in a poem. What's the most basic? The number of stanzas. How many stanzas are there in a poem? How many lines there are in a poem? Read that. Count them. What is the setting of the poem? Where is it set? Is it set, for example, in contemporary times, that is, our times? Is it set 100 years back? Is it set 200 years back? Is it set 300 years back? Understand that. What is the historical and the geographical background? The time period in which it was written. What is the period of history in which it was written? What is the background of the poem? Was it written in Europe? Was it written in America? Was it written in India? Was it written anywhere else? Who is the speaker? Now, when you talk about a speaker, you come back to the English language here. You have studied first person, second person, third person. Okay? So, who is the speaker? Is the speaker the poet himself who is trying to tell you something? Does the poet pretend to be somebody else in order to speak? Or is it something else or someone else who is speaking? For example, the hill or the mountain or the stream could be shown as speaking. Who is the speaker? Understand who the speaker is. Yes, we all know that the poet is writing the poem. We all know the poet is the speaker, but who is he speaking through? He could be speaking from himself. He could be speaking using the medium of somebody else. He could be speaking using the medium of something not even living. All poems are addressed to people. Obviously, somebody or the other is being addressed to. Who is the poet addressing? For example, you have Ode to a Nightingale. Who is the poet addressing? The nightingale. Okay, you have different poems like this. The poet is talking to somebody. Who is that poet talking to? The language. Look at the language. When we say language, we are going to study English or Hindi or whatever regional language you want. But if you're looking at English in particular, you are looking at whether it is ancient English, modern English, or Old English that is being used during the Middle Ages. Okay, what is the theme of the poem? Every poem has a theme, a story within a story. The poet tries to address something. He might be addressing love, he might be addressing peace, he might be saying anything, beauty, whatever he's talking about is the theme of the poem. Very important for you to find out the theme of the poem. What is the place of the poem? Again, where is the poet when he is writing this poem? What is the place in which the poet is setting his poem into? Clear? That then was a basic introduction to understanding poems and poetry. If you're looking for something more advanced, check out the slides I have posted. I'm posting another video on them shortly. If you like this video, please do not forget to subscribe and share as well, because remember, other people out there might need our help. Thank you for watching.